You watch Morning Live on SABC2. Just to remind you that kick-off tomorrow night, it's Bafana Bafana up against Algeria. That match is at the Orlando Stadium in Soweto. Bafana Bafana will be looking to find some goal-scoring form there. Played really well against Norway. I was enthused by the performance of the national team, but tomorrow it'll have to be more than just enthusing us. It'll be enthusing us, but also emerging victorious against the Algerian team. Let's check with Leanne quickly about some text messages. What are people saying this morning, Leanne?
Yeah. A lot of people talking about, again, the success of Bafana Bafana and training, but I think one that really stands out is the accessing of funds in order to sort of, pump more into the game. Is this something that we can have? Is that they're just saying that we really need how and where can we access funds from the Department of Sport for the development that Bafana Bafana needs, particularly strikers? This is from Roscoe Jacobs writing to us. And then again, let me just ask that question to you, because we really are being inundated with questions as to why the SABC is not broadcasting the cricket matches. That's what's happening, the Proteas games. Peter, I hope you can hear us. It's the Protea matches, and people want to know why we're not being able to watch the national team's matches that are taking place, especially today. Okay. All right, are we going to Andile?
Yeah, we're going to check in with Andile. So, Andile, soccer matches get underway on the 19th. We've had a heat wave in the country here. What can we expect? What is the weather going to be like during the tournament?
Well, we're not expecting much of a difference. We're still going to feel the effect of that heat wave in the next few weeks or so. But also temperatures are expected to just be a little bit on the cooler side. We are expecting a bit of rainfall as well, especially in the afternoon. So people are just going to have to take precautions. If you're going out to watch the game, take lots of water with you. Wear a sun hat if you can. And also just try and accommodate your skin, also trying to prevent skin cancer. We're going to have to encourage people to apply sunblock. Temperatures are going to be in our favor. The weather is going to be our favor, and I know most African countries, or rather fans and the teams that are coming through, are quite familiar with that kind of heat. Temperatures are expected to be into the high 20s, the early 30s, so it's not going to be much of a difference, especially for the teams that are coming through to join us for this tournament. All right.
Thank you very much, Andile Masuku, updating us on the weather there. So it's going to be quite warm right through the Cup of African Nations tournament. Let's return you now to Santon. From me, it's Sharp. I'll see you again on Monday. Let's return to Valen Kirtley. Valen?
Thank you very much, Vuyo. Just regarding one of those text messages about the Proteas matches, I just spoke to the GM of Sports, Mr. Sizwe Nzimande, that the Proteas games are going to be live. That's the ODIs, because of course the test matches are going to be shown in highlights packages. But the ODIs with the Black Caps, which starts also on the 19th in Paarl, they are all going to be shown live on SABC3. So let's get back to Afcon, because that of course is what we are all counting down to. There's only 8 days more to go before the Beach at Africa's feet is felt right here in South Africa. And when it comes to big sporting tournaments, you always look at what it does for the development of the sport. So with me, I've got the SAFA president, Mr. Nematandani. It's a big thing when it came to the World Cup, how it was going to contribute to the development of South African football. I suppose you can't really, as Mr. Mvuzo Mbebe said, compare the two tournaments, but what kind of development is going to be taking place, or can we expect to come from hosting the Africa Cup of Nations?
Thank you very much. I think the African Cup of Nations gives us a great opportunity, particularly to create excitement amongst the youth. And we need to try and ride it on that as the South African Football Association. We have just established what we call the Development Agency, which is going to focus all its energies behind development. We just are going to distribute the funds from the Legacy Trust. On the 18th of January, recently, the body is going to sit, and we're going to distribute over 4.5 million for development. And I think the tournament itself begins to bring the energy, because all the youngsters in the country will have a chance to watch the great stars from the continent. Those they always watch on TV, they have a chance to go out in the stadium and see them in person. And I think, what more do you need to have your role models coming next to your own backyard and see them and rub shoulders with them, get autographs, signatures, and hug them? And I think that is what the tournament begins to create for the youngsters. In fact, it's the realization of dreams. And as SAFA, all our 52 regions are certainly involved in the whole tournament, and we have encouraged them to ensure that whilst the tournament is running, everything has to come to a standstill. The youth has to be part of that. And I know most of the countries are training next to where these youngsters are. Some of them have other social programs they're running. They'll reach out in form of clinics. And those are some of the things that are benefit to development.
Have you guys spoken at all about curtain raisers before some of the big round-robin matches with perhaps Banyana Banyana or our under-20s or our under-17s?
Unfortunately, this is a sponsored tournament. As you know, you do not want any counter-attraction. The sponsors would never allow that. However, these are double headers, would afford over 180 minutes for spectators to watch the game. So that's all we have. Surely people will arrive early in the stadiums. There are other entertainments. There are other social programs that are running. We just talk about the UNA's United with Malaria in the continent. And so many other things will be happening, sharing information. And of course, the other razzmatazz that will be taking place out there to excite the spectators.
And of course, the SAFA's most proud possession, Bafana Bafana representing the country. Let's speak a little bit about the change of time for the warm-up game, because they're taking on Algeria. The original scheduled time was 3 o'clock. It's now in the evening at 8:15. What is attributed to the change of kickoff time there?
Certainly, I think our counterparts came in very strongly. You got to understand that they also have to try and mirror many of the games that are going to be happening during the evening, and that's why the games were changed to that time. And of course, it's also good for our boys to have more time. Remember, they just traveled from Cape Town and only had a day or two to train, and that's how this whole thing turned around. And of course, there's also the issue of broadcast. You got to understand that you want the nation to watch their pride.
Are you confident with Bafana Bafana and Coach Gordon Nickerson?
No doubt about that. I mean, this is at their own backyard. They've got the 12th men behind them, and it's for them to stand up and be counted. We have created a platform, and we brought it home. What more do you want?
What more do you want? That is the message from the president of SAFA, Mr. Kirsten Nematandani. What more do you want, South Africa? We have brought you all the stars. We're going to be bringing you all the stars from around Africa that play in European leagues. So all you got to do now is really just fill up the stadia. Let's go back to Peter on the stage. And one thing that I'd really like them to ask is that we've spoken a little bit about the change of kickoff time, which was a lead story when I was actually on my way here to the Sandton Convention Centre. Are we assured that the kickoff times are going to stay exactly as they are?
Okay, well, Valen, let's ask our experts. Mr. Mbembe?
We are, this is a friendly game that is organized by the South African Football Association for purposes the President has said to do that. So I don't think we should read more to the kickoff time. I think people are making a meal out of nothing. Okay. But as you know, that we've taken out a schedule as early as June when we fix the times. We've scheduled. This is not, as the Minister says, this is not a spaza shop or a Mickey Mouse tournament. Those times are fixed.
Okay.
8 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock. 5 o'clock will be 5 o'clock. The opening ceremony starts at 4 o'clock on the 19th. It's not 1 minute past 4. It is going to be 4 o'clock.
All right, so you're sitting here representing African football in general. And one issue that I think we really do need to touch on, people have been trying to find explanations why African teams didn't do well in the last World Cup finals. And some of the issues or some of the explanations that have been put forward is they suggest that there is a high amount, well, no, there's a level of corruption across the continent in the game, in football, and it's unfortunate as well. It comes at a time, Zimbabwe recently and South Africa also implicated in a FIFA report. I'm just wondering how much of a problem is corruption across the continent, and has the revelations that have come through the FIFA report about South Africa put a dampener on things in any way?
No, I think let's not confuse things. We're talking about the African Cup of Nations, already Africa. It has got nothing to do with football administration, first and foremost. So I don't think that we should read tournament and read that. But also I hope that my leaders will talk about that. I think this pessimism of Africa that says that everything that's African is corrupt. FIFA has investigated all over the world. There have been reports, there have been reports about the English FA, reports about Russia, reports about France. Why are we saying as if now that this report has come out just at the eve of Afcon, it is specific to Africa? FIFA investigates and issues reports all the time. And I don't think it's something unique. So I don't think, to me, we should read that. But let me address it. I'll leave the issue of the reports to leadership. But let me address this issue of corruption vis-a-vis the performance of teams. I don't think that's true, that the two are related. If that's the case, as it is alleged, that the African teams don't do well in the World Cups because of corruption in Africa, why are the Arabic countries not winning? Why are the Indian countries not winning? Why are the Australians not winning? Well, then we must use the same analogy and say it's because they're also corrupt. That's not true. We cannot link winning of the World Cup to something that is outside the field of play. We must discuss the issue of the winning of the World Cup in relation to the investments that are available. Europe is dominant in the World Cup because the majority of the money, we know in terms of the investment of sponsors, 90% of the money that is invested in football goes to Europe. And that's why we've got an outcome that we are seeing, that the World Cup is dominated by the European countries, because sponsors invest there, which means the development of the football, the development of the infrastructure is predominantly in Europe. It's going to show itself in the outcome that we're going to see. We know that Africa, in terms of investment, hardly gets 1% of the rest of what, if you talk of the global football economy. Africa hardly gets 1%. It does well. We have been to quarterfinals. We've been, in some instances, very close to semifinals with 1% of investment in terms of the global football economy. So I think that we must put these things in context. But I'll leave the issue of the reports and so on. I want just to address this issue about development, because investment will have a direct bearing on the performance on the field of play. Okay, Minister?
I don't know why I must address corruption and match fixing. First and foremost, what I want to emphasize is the fact that we need to get this party started, and people must stop lamenting, and each one of us must do our bit. If I look at Cape Town, Bafana versus Norway, where we lost, the excitement on the 11th hour and people looking for tickets and all of that, the vibe at the stadium could tell you that the Africa Cup of Nations has actually arrived. If you have never been in that particular atmosphere, you are still in the festive mode, get yourself started wherever you are. The time has arrived. Nobody else will market this tournament except ourselves. It is here. And it's different from the World Cup, of course, because we planned for World Cup 5 years before. This happened this year. And I think everyone knows about the Africa Cup of Nations. It's just that people have got to get started and understand that this party has actually arrived. Teams are coming into South Africa. There's going to be a lot of friendlies and so on. There's lots of people already here in this country. Nigeria, Ethiopia, everybody is going to fill up our stadiums. When it comes to match fixing and all other issues, we just have got to be consistent in how we deal with issues. We are not a banana republic, we're a constitutional democracy. So where there is corruption, we take those who are corrupt or implicated through their paces. So there is no fudge, no hiding of the truth. We'll get into that. But we don't need that to meddle with our approach in how we do things and think that the house is falling down and all of that. So whatever that it is, we have agreed with SAFA what we are going to follow about this and so on. But it does not mean that because there's been match fixing somewhere, we are implicated and we're not going to do anything about it. We are doing something about it, and we're very much committed in rooting out corruption. And I think our people must have faith in the fact that these things are getting processed will actually deal with them.
All
For
right.
now, let's focus on the Africa Cup of Nations. That is
All
what
right.
is important.
And on that note, that's where we'll come to the end of this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand as we say thank you to our guests today. Minister of Sports and Recreation, Fikile Mbalula, the chairperson of the Orange Afcon LOC, Chief Mwela Nkonyane, the acting CEO of the SABC, Claudia Mutsadeng, and the CEO of Orange Afcon LOC, Mvuzo Mbebe. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we wish you luck. And let's hope we deliver a great tournament. Thank you so much indeed. And for me,